What's up, guys? So before this episode starts, it is sponsored by our friends at Sour Strips, which is the company that I own, that the show's named after. Guys, have you ever gotten sour candy and been like, oh my God, this is gonna be so delicious and sour, and then you take it home and you open it and you put it in your mouth and you're like, this sucks so much. That is not the case with Sour Strips. This is actual sour candy. It is the best sour candy you will ever have in your entire life. 12 flavors, resealable bag, scrumdiddlyumptious, Maxi Poo's seal of approval. I'm telling you, this is the absolute best. Click the link down in the description and use code POTTER to get 15% off your first purchase. Sour Strips, sour candy that doesn't suck. It's TJ Hunt.
It's me, baby.
How did you get into cars?
Big dick swinging with all my other friends.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, you gotta like jerk off. Big dick stuff. Did I say something dumb?
Yes, you did. Fucking loser. Murcielago, Diablo.
You just said a bunch of numbers, dude.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that is. What's up, guys?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Welcome to Don't Be Sour, another fantastic episode. I'm your host, Max Tuning, and we are here with the man that takes lug nuts on and off for a living,
dude.
Mr. TJ Hunt.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. You have people who pick really heavy rocks off the ground and drop it, and then you have people who just take lug nuts off of things and put it back on.
Rocks?
Yeah, it was a barbaric joke, like, oh, pick heavy thing up, drop down.
You're like, someone like you just picks it up a weight and puts it back down. I just do
let's
lug
not
nuts.
forget, you're talking to an alpha elite athlete.
You were an alpha elite athlete.
So I'm allowed to say that.
They just let anyone in that company, I guess.
And it did when I was there, dude.
How long were you an alpha elite athlete?
A year or two before it became a conflict, which we knew it would at one point.
Was it a conflict or was it more of like, this doesn't really make sense?
Probably both. But it was like...
TJ can't even bench 315.
No way, never, dude. 215 was still a very big goal for me.
That's all right, dude. You seem to be doing okay without it.
Or 225 would be 2 plates. Sorry, I feel like most people you have on here are fitness people.
Nah, well, I try to get like all walks of earth.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know, even people who like don't even look like they lift at all, I like to have on the show. So
hey,
welcome, bro.
I'll take my shirt off right now, and you can tell that I've been consistent for like 4 months.
You know, dude, I want you to know that this episode is, I traveled all the way to Los Angeles, rented a car, did a little dilly-dallying in LA, drove 3 hours to San Diego just to film this.
And I feel good about that. I really do. I'm happy that you put in that effort because this is going to be your best episode.
I really do think it's going to be my best episode. I'm feeling it. I mean, and we're in this beautiful home with some, I don't know if
you even know what that is?
I don't literally know. When you told me that this car is like very, very expensive and worth so much money, I'm like, why?
Literally no. Yeah. The Mazda.
How much is this car worth?
With what's into it. So I guess I'll say this. Someone offered me $175,000 and I said no for it.
If they'd offer you 200, were you taking it? Or it's just like,
honestly, yeah. And I told him that. I'm like, if you go more, I was like, if you could hit like 200, I'd probably let it go. But for the sentimental value and for what it is and how monumental it has been for me and like the attachment I have, I was like, but if it was like owned by like, you know, not TJ Hunt, if it was owned by a random dude, I would say like you could probably squeeze close to like 140.
Wait, because it's from you, that adds
oh yeah
50, 60K of value? What? Hey guys,
I love how we're just starting off with this.
I'm gonna actually start selling shit that I own, and I'm gonna increase the value. Whatever I see it on eBay going for, I'm adding 50% on that because I touched it.
Let me rephrase. In the past, on a lot of stuff that I've built and sold, when it goes up for sale, there has been multiple times of where certain things have sold more because certain people want that car that I built or that car that I did. And for that reason, they'll go for more than what it is worth.
So what you're saying without gloating is that you're a big deal.
No, I mean...
There's a lot of mahogany books written about you.
A lot of sweet mahogany. I mean, it's like, okay, if Max, I was going to make a weird gym reference, and that's
fine, dude.
I thought about it, and I played it, I'm like, that's not
if you're going to try to make disses and be funny,
no,
you better make sure that they execute properly.
No, it wasn't a diss. It was just alternate reality, like or parallels in both realities.
Okay, dude. Well, before we get into all these super weird cars, Why don't you tell the people who you are and what you do if someone had no idea, if you were in an Uber going somewhere and someone's just like, hey.
You love saying that to your guests.
It's not like, and some
Give
people.
me your Uber pitch.
Well, the funny thing is some people take it like actually literally. They're like, I wouldn't talk to an Uber driver, or like, I'm scared of like being kidnapped. So I'm not. I'm like, no, it just means that like a random person is like, what do you do in life?
Okay,
like,
so I'll just say I hate that question. I hate it so much because it's such a difficult thing to answer.
Seems pretty easy.
There's not. It's no way. It's absolutely not. I make videos on the internet. What I'll say, I sugarcoat it. I say I have a show that's online about cars.
You call your YouTube channel a show?
Mm-hmm. Because it just raises less questions.
That would raise more questions.
Absolutely not.
I'm a YouTuber or I have a show. They'd be like, what channel is it on?
I guess YouTuber now, there's like an actual meaning behind it. Because like there's kids in elementary who are like, I want to be a YouTuber when I'm older. But and a lot of like older generation, people in their 50s, someone will be like, oh, he's a YouTuber. And they'll be like, oh, a YouTuber. Yeah, those people make videos on the internet. People watch them. Like my grandkids love that. So the term YouTuber now, I think actually like stands on its own 2 feet, where like in the past it really hasn't. And
back then it was like, you loser.
Yeah, it was like you make videos on the internet, on YouTube. So to sugarcoat, I'd be like, oh, I have a show. It's online. It's about cars. I build cars and race them.
You're the first person that I've ever heard refer to their YouTube channel as like a show.
Well, now you can use it the next time.
I am going to do it.
And it's just, they'll be like, oh, that's really cool.
Like, I'm like, yeah, I have a producer. It's me.
Yeah.
I have it's like my editor
Director,
for my vlogs is me.
Yeah.
I get all the final approval.
And it also like, it takes so how do you get paid from that question? And then it's like, okay, well, there's AdSense, and then there's clickable ads, and then there's mid-roll ads, and then there's watch time.
It's always the like, can you make money from that?
Yeah. So like I have a show online. I build cars, and a lot of multiple avenues I've been able to create from that. Similar to you with Sour Strips, Ever Forward, copy and paste, put it in a different genre of cars.
No, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into cars?
I loved it when I was younger. When I was in like elementary school, I was in like this like car club, which was just existed of like my one friend, and that was it. And
It was
like,
me and my friend were the club.
Yes. And we had like this, we just like loved exotics. I didn't know anything about anything like in actuality, but like I could tell you like all of the brochure specs of any exotic car, and I just loved the way they looked.
When you say exotic, what is that?
Murcielago, Diablo, Testarossa.
Diablo, that's like fighting chicken or something, right?
Yeah. Lambos and stuff.
You didn't get my movie reference.
I didn't. Right. No, I didn't on that.
That's okay.
One,
that's okay.
Yeah.
Wait. So how old are you when you're?
I was like when I was first into it. How old are you in like second grade, third grade?
You can't be into Lamborghinis when you're.
Oh, absolutely, I was. I have photos. So like then we used to go to like all the local exotic dealerships and go and take photos by the cars. I literally could go pull it out of my closet and show it to you, but I did. So I loved it. And then when I like just knew everything, 0 to 60s, stop time, fastest, Nürburgring, all that type of stuff. And then fell out of it a little bit because I was super into hockey and sports. And that was kind of my life through 5th grade to like high school. And then when I like started nearing 16, when I can have a license, I was like, oh my God, finally, like the car like passion can
come to life.
Kind of. I can actually like drive one now.
And what was your first car?
An E90 328. It's just
you just said a bunch of numbers, dude.
Yeah,
I don't even know what that is.
I know. It was a BMW. It was a sedan.
You have to talk to
I have to try to talk in normal language.
The audience and me,
Okay.
Whenever I like try to dumb it down, as if I'm a golden doodle, I need to know like what these cars are because, dude, I like...
Just a basic 4-door BMW.
And was that like, were you like, that was the car you wanted for your first car?
No. Well, it was like, I was just stoked that I had the opportunity for my dad to buy me that car.
You got a BMW for your first car?
I know. So then you're like, whoa, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
And what kind, is that a car that like was...
It had sporty character. It was as if, here's a parallel to all the non-car people. Mm-hmm. It's like...
The common people.
It's as if you saw like a Toyota Camry today with like the TRD package.
Is it TRD for like Toyota 4Runners?
No, TRD is just like the sports era, the sports like pillar of Toyota. Think of M with BMW, M series. Okay. So like TRD is M. Okay. Oh man, I'm really just tossing too much foreign language.
You really are. Like,
I just had a car. The BMW had like paddle shifters back in 2010 2011 when I got my license. And that was like still very new and considered sporty. And then I got that car, went on the internet, learned like what people do to mod it. Basics things, air in like intake system, exhaust
Canon
system,
air filter, baby.
Canon air filter, like night shading, which is just pretty much like spray painting your taillights and make them a solid color. Basic stuff like that. Realized, wow, I really like this. I'm a racer. I just make my car loud and obnoxious. 16-year-old is a typical shithead.
Was it manual?
It wasn't. So I was a fakie.
I feel like is manual in the car world still.
Yes,
it is.
Well,
if you're like an elitist, you're like, I only drive manual. Because even I remember back in high school and stuff, it was like, nah, dude, like I love, like I'd have kids with like the like Acura RSX and shit like that, and they'd be like, dude, I need the manual, bro. And they just be like,
so here's the difference. Back then, automatics could not and were never good. There was no technology to make an automatic transmission good. In today's modern time, automatic transmissions trump manual.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, you think you're better than a robot? You ever seen like John Henry, dude? You think you're going to beat the computer?
Exactly. So in today's time, there are a lot of sports cars, manual or new sports cars, like the M4 out there. Like
BMW.
BMW. Sorry. There's a BMW high-end sports car out there. It comes in a manual gearbox, but I chose to get it in the automatic because the automatic is so damn good in that car. And I have 20 other cars that are manual that if I want to drive a manual that day, I can go drive one of those. So it's like for the newer end, the exotics, those are all automatics and they're great.
Is the reason people love the manuals because they're like, I can feel the road.
But you can though.
It
like
sounds...
you're connected in a level that you're not with automatic. And
in 20 years, people are going to call you idiots for like,
I know.
Being like, why would you ever want to manually shift a car?
I know. Isn't that sad?
It doesn't make no sense.
We're just gonna grab the cord out of our Teslas and plug it into the side of our head and just.
I think manual cars are essentially the cursive of the car world. It's the cursive writing. Everyone thinks like you need cursive,
but you really
need, like,
never use
it.
Well,
you know how like how old are you?
28.
Okay, so I'm 33. So I'm assuming you still probably heard this when you were younger. Is everyone is like everyone should know how to drive a manual car, and now it's like no one needs to learn.
You'll never rent a car or be in a position where like, oh shit, it's manual. I don't know what to do.
And now it's one of those things that even the big car companies aren't even doing it. It's kind of how like like Lambo isn't even doing Lambo doors, and now it's like, can you even get a manual like Lamborghini? Did I say something dumb?
Yes, you did.
Oh man, here we go.
Well, yeah.
I hope your car people are watching this.
Yes.
They're like, this fucking idiot.
Yeah, I'm not going to correct you. It's okay.
Hey, if we want to talk about Jeeps, dude, I'll make you feel dumb.
Yeah,
okay?
I know. So I'm like, hey, so it's all good. Current Lambos do not come in manual, no. But Lambos have come in manual.
Well, I know that. I'm saying, but now like you can't even get a manual.
No. But a lot of companies now are getting like Lambos and putting manual transmissions in them.
That sounds stupid. That sounds going like backwards.
It is going backwards, but it's like, oh, how cool would it be to have a manual version of that though?
Not cool at all, to be honest.
It is kind of cool.
I mean, if anything, why don't you just even go further back and you should just cut your floorboard open and just run with your feet, bro? Because I mean, then you would really be feeling the road.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna use that.
So you got your BMW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got the BMW. Started to learn how to like tinker with it.
What was the first stuff you did? Like for Jeeps, it was putting Altezza taillights in. Yeah, I know that terminology.
Wow.
The Euro taillights, dude. I'll put a picture on the screen for everyone. And everyone was like, that is the dumbest looking shit I've ever seen. And I was like, no, it's cool.
And you're like, no, dude.
Clear corners in the front, Altezzas in the back,
it's
baby.
what they do in Europe. Yeah, I know. So I did that. I'd had Euro spec headlights that got rid of the amber reflectors, exhaust just to make it louder, intake, and like just vinyl overlays to like cover the taillights and make them look different. It's like the most basic stuff. But that's what like really opened my eyes, being like, wow, I like being able to make this unique, and I like just driving it and just being a dumb kid. So that kind of like opened my eyes to it. Realized I started like really enjoying it by the end of high school, and then not until like my first year of college, I sold that car, and then I got a BRZ, which is a Subaru two-door sports car.
I almost bought a BRZ.
Really?
Way back in the day when I was selling, I was in college, and my buddy was a big. I know some turnout. He was a big STI.
Okay.
fan, not like the thing you sometimes catch out like on Saturdays.
Not like, not that. Yeah. But
STI. And I was almost like, dude, I needed a new one. And I was like, I'll get the Burrs.
Yeah.
Because everyone had like a little blue one. And like, it's like the
World Rally Blue.
Rally
I have
Blue.
one outside. There's a World Rally Blue.
Of course you do. You have like 80 cars here, bro.
Yeah.
No, 29. You have 29 cars.
29 cars. So I got that. So I ended up selling the E90. Sorry, the BMW.
Why? What was it?
Because I wanted a manual transmission. So my
full circle, baby.
Yeah. So my best friend Calvin got that car, and his was manual. I drove it. I'm like, whoa, I'm connected.
Yeah.
And it's just a different platform. It's a very slow car, but it's like a Miata. It handles really well, and it was beautiful, and it was new, and it was shiny.
Why does everyone like Miatas, dude? I think they couldn't be the weirdest car in the world.
Okay. So like, there's a Miata outside. There's a blue one outside.
I saw it, dude. It's made for
Yes.
a tiny person,
but because it weighs nearly nothing comparative to everything else, it's really easy to make them fast.
So it's a side tangent on the Miata. I mentioned that I rented a Jeep Compass for this trip, but last time it is sick. Last time I toured an SRT when I was just in LA, and the guy's like telling me, he's like, "Oh, I have a bunch of other cars. I got like a Lamborghini if you want to rent that." I was like, "Dude, I just want the fucking Jeep." And I was like, "What is the most popular car that you rent out?" And he's like, "A Miata." Everyone wanted the Miata. I don't know what kind it was, but apparently Miata is the car.
I believe that if it's like the 2-door and it's a convertible, everyone who comes to California is like, oh, California.
They're the smallest car in the entire world.
They're terribly, miserably small. Yeah.
Okay, so you sold the BMW, you got the thing, and then are you someone who?
Oh yeah, you gotta.
You gotta like jerk off
you
just
gotta make sure it's neutral.
I would always be like, why is that? And it's like, oh, check it in neutral. It's like, dude, like you're like, no, I gotta do this.
Dude, it's like an OCD thing. Today I still do that. Today I still will go.
You're like,
shit. Always. Well, sometimes I'll leave it in gear just as like that's a tangent. Anyways, got the BRZ, realized I loved it. And then I started making videos.
What year? Oh, that's when you first started on YouTube?
Yeah, it was when I got the BRZ. I made a few videos with the BMW before I sold it, but like only like maybe 2 or 3. And it was like weird stuff, like going to car meets with it. And that's not weird, but just they were terrible fucking videos, like just terrible shit. I didn't take it seriously. Then when I got the BRZ, I was like, this car is brand new. There's not a lot of information about it. I'm gonna learn how to modify it and document it on YouTube.
You bought it brand new?
No, it was used.
Okay.
It was like the car had been out. Oh, sorry, new to me.
Okay.
The car had been out for like 2 years, maybe a year and a half when I got mine. So I got one with like the highest mileage one I could. That was like $19,000, and I was like, sold.
You said this was a newish car that just came out.
Yeah, like the car had only been out for a year and a half, and the BRZ, that was its first year of platform. So the car was new. It was
so when something like new comes out like that, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna try to like mod it. Like, how are there mods for cars that just come out?
That's a good question. The industry is very quick to make stuff for it. And everything's pretty much universally the same. The power plant out of a BRZ is very similar to a bunch of other Subaru like engine components. So to make an exhaust only takes a real like company like Magnaflow that makes like one of the largest exhaust manufacturers.
I know what Magnaflow is, bro.
Yeah. It only takes them like literally a week if they wanted to make it and bring it to market. So like basic stuff, not like the super complex stuff like turbo swaps and
like bumpers and fenders and
and fenders and yeah, that takes a long time.
Okay.
To make like body parts. That's a long time. So I got the basic stuff, exhaust, intake, taillights, like changing the taillight colors, basic stuff.
That's the standard. As soon as you get the car, you got to swap out the super basics.
It's what's the cheapest plasti dip. It's like, what's the cheapest, most effective way to make this car look different? And like, that's what everyone does who really doesn't have the funds to build a car. We'll do that to start. That's what I did.
And then you started your journey on YouTube. Were you outgoing in life before you started YouTube?
Okay, so like here's like I don't want to get too deep in the story because it will just go forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, I don't want you to talk that long.
Yeah, fuck that. I've been making YouTube videos since like 2007. My same channel today, if you go back on it, there's videos from like 2007.
Is it actually a video there, or is it like you uploaded a clip to like put somewhere else?
So I used to be obsessed with paintballing when I was younger. So I used to like watch a bunch of paintball people on YouTube.
Tippin 98 custom, dude?
Yeah, dude. There's an old like Spider Pilot right in that blue bag, oddly enough. Yeah. So I used to make paintball videos on YouTube, and I was very like tech savvy with like iMovie way back when iMovie was like 2007 iMovie. And because I used to play ice hockey, I was on a travel team and we used to travel a lot. I used to miss school and do school work on the bus and that type of thing. For fun, like me and my teammates would like make stupid iMovie videos and stuff just because we weren't allowed to like roughhouse or like the night before the game, we had to stay in the hotel room. So I was just savvy with editing. And then when I started paintballing, I started to make some videos of like, here's my review on this paintball gun. So I kind of had experience with YouTube. So when it got to end of high school, I like got broken up with like the love of my life, and I was depressed and I was sad, and I like was in the like darkest state of my life, which like sounds so funny to say now, but it was true. And I was like desperate to start trying new things.
She's punching the ceiling right now.
Yeah, she's pissed. So that shattered my world. And then after like 5 months of just like don't even know where time went, I like started to like get into self-help, and I was like, I need to turn my life around. Like I was like new into college, was going to school for nursing, and like my grades were shit because I was so depressed. And I started to watch couple YouTubers, like couples, like BF vs GF.
Fucking Jesse Wellens,
dude,
man.
Jesse and Gina. Like Miranda Singh's personal like channel,
Yeah.
like Colleen and Josh, like these like couple vloggers. I used to be obsessed with them because I was like, I miss a relationship. So I just like watched that shit. I don't know. And I got influenced in YouTube. And when I got the BRZ, I was like, well, I'm going to take new passions and like distract myself. So I started, that's what like made me start filming YouTube videos again. I only made like 4 paintball videos years ago.
So you made like paintball videos, then you got broken up with, then you started
Paintball videos when I was in middle school. And then high school came, it faded out. The channel still existed. I used to upload like skate videos here or there. And then high school, sweethearts, break up in college. I'm so sad. I'm upset. I love cars throughout this whole entire timeline. I'm like, okay, I'm going to start filming me by myself with my car to like distract myself from crying in my room every day, face down on the pillow.
Like a loser.
Like a fucking loser.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's honestly pretty pathetic.
Yeah,
keep going.
Super pathetic. And so that's what started the whole YouTube thing. So I just started uploading videos on my BRZ, basic how-to mod installs. I would get ripped apart because I would post them on Facebook groups of BRZ things and like the forums and stuff. And the videos would do okay, but like I would just get bullied and made fun of because YouTube is weird. This is like 7 years ago.
Forum world was the YouTube back then.
Yes.
I was on Jeep forums for like my whole life.
So you get it.
My life was Jeep. Was like
Yes.
forums.
So I was a big forum boy
Yeah.
because there was no other form of information. YouTube wasn't a thing. So when I started uploading to YouTube, it was very weird. There was no YouTuber back then. So I would get made fun of, and I would get torn apart in the forums.
Yeah.
But I still uploaded and did all that type of stuff. And, there was a couple other car channels out there, but they were really all about cars. And I was like, I don't have a cool car. I don't have much to offer. I'd rather just like really film me and my car and my friends. So the channel was like, you might click on the video because it's like how to change out your wheels on your BRZ. And the content's maybe like 2 minutes of that, but it's 10 minutes of like me just horsing around with my friends.
So it's essentially clickbait.
Yes. The original clickbait.
They're like, where the fuck is the wheel stuff? It's 3 minutes in the video for 1 minute.
Yeah. So then everyone eventually, after years of doing it, like the channel, no one was very new to the scene. I was very much like first wave of that, kind of like you. You were in the fitness scene before everyone else.
Yeah.
So like you naturally are like with that growth. And eventually it started making, I was doing it while I was in college, and I really became obsessed with YouTube, and I like didn't hang out with friends, didn't party. All I did was study because I was in nursing school and it was very tough. And I like made time to film 3 videos a week. Very like to the T, every hour was accounted for. I got very into like self-motivation and like The Secret and manifestation and all that type of shit. And
you were on that shit before it was like, that's like what people are on now.
I know. So like vision boards and self-journaling to yourself every day, talking things into existence. I was a really big believer of all of that. And like, I truly believe like that really did change my, like crazy as that sounds, I believe in it wholeheartedly today. Like that is what built everything today, was like the power of just self-thought and I hate the word manifestation because of what it is today.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen that meme where it's like, I owe hundreds of thousands of dollars to the bank, but I'm not going to because manifestation. You seen that video? Where he's wearing that helmet. Yeah.
I get the idea behind it.
Yeah.
I think it seems like the way you told your story, it almost seems like the breakup with the girlfriend
caused it all.
Triggered the biggest change in your life.
I owe everything to that breakup.
And I'm assuming it's the same one. And I've mentioned this to you before, but TJ and I go super way back. Do you remember our interaction? Like when I was still like first 2 years of my own YouTube. So you,
oh God, you might be unlocking a memory that I don't.
So TJ you were a super fan of me.
Yes.
Bro. I would always see you in the comments of my YouTube videos watching my vlogs. Cause you were probably like, God, this guy's like what I dreamed to look like. And he's so cool and he's so funny. So I understand why you're on my videos. But so I remember specifically, there was even times when you were doing a live stream, I believe it was on YouTube way back in the day, or some sort of live. And I remember and I was just, because I subscribed to you, and I
was so stoked about that.
Yeah, because you would comment on my videos, and I was like, let me check this guy out. Then I subscribed. And then I remember I came into your live chat and I like chatted a little bit, and you were like, oh, Max is in here. Oh my God. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'm always gonna be way cooler than this guy. But what the true memory unlock is I remember this very specifically. I don't know how you reached out to me, whether it was maybe like back in the early YouTube days.
You could message on YouTube.
Yeah, so I wonder if I can go find it.
I don't know if it's still even a thing anymore.
He's like, I never did this. But you reached out to me because, and I'm assuming it's with this girl, but you were like, hey man, like I just went through a breakup and I'm like in a really bad place. Can I call you and can I like talk to you about it? And we exchanged numbers and we spoke, because I remember I was in the parking lot of my office and you were telling me about how like this girl broke your heart and how to like what advice do I have of how to like get over this girl and move forward. Like I remember this very specifically.
Are you being fucking serious?
100%.
We
spoke on the phone.
Okay, so I like kind of vibe with that memory.
Yeah.
But I have no recollection of you. How would you give me your number?
Because back then I was like, I just seemed like you were a normal enough guy.
I guess.
But this was like maybe a year and about a year, because it was after I got fired from my first job, because I remember the parking lot that I was in. But yeah, I sat out there. I remember I was sitting with my button down and you were like talking to me and you were just like, yeah, this girl like broke up with me. She was like my everything. She like broke my heart. Because like, have you gone through this? Because you know, at that point,
it rocked my world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to always like think back to that and see like how far like we've both come from that. But it's such an interesting kind of thing about how like from like you going through this big thing to kind of like reaching out to someone you watch to building out like this whole world. It's like interesting how both of our lives have kind of like.
Yeah. Wow. You just really unlocked a memory.
I essentially helped you with your entire career.
Yeah. I essentially owe everything. You know what? You could just have it, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
It's yours.
Well, but I'd probably just immediately sell it and then it'll be worth less because I own it.
Yeah. It wouldn't be worth as much. Yeah.
Well, dude. Okay. So let's continue this little car journey. So you started the YouTube thing. And how did you like learn how to work on cars?
Oh, oof.
Because I was in like Jeep. My mom was in Jeep clubs,
right?
And I would be just like when I had my first Jeep, I would be at these houses of like, you know, the other people in the clubs and stuff, and they'd show me how to like, you know, use a spring compressor and change springs out and put a budget boost on and like show me how to do these things. And then I'd just stick around with my buddies. Did you have like? I don't use the word like a mentor, but do you have someone to show you, or is it just self-taught?
No. So I learned everything. So part of like, I think a really big, like a really big selling point that I had to the channel was I was very open from the very beginning that I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
I still say that.
Yeah. Like I really don't know. And I'm going to like, I think I know. And like, I used to always say like, I don't know what I'm doing. And like, you're going to find out and watch or something like that. So and even like to this day, like I could pull a motor, I could do a trans swap, I could do whatever I want, but I'm like not good. Like my friends are so much more like I'm not good at working on cars. I can do it. I've been doing it for 8 years. Like I can, I've built the whole entire S14 back there, and
I don't know what that means, bro.
So I built the whole entire old car back there.
Okay.
But like, in the world of YouTubers, in the automotive world, like I'm not who you watch for like, oh, I want to see someone get super technical and like really explain to me why every inch of this looks like this and every, that's not me. Like I learned very early on that I love cars and I love the passion behind it, but I also love business and how can I merge this
Passion with
like scalability and business and passive income and all that type of stuff. So my channel specifically, me specifically, I don't focus, like we still build like dope shit. Like everything we bring to like SEMA every year, every channel, like everything we do every year is always like mic drop type stuff. But I have a lot of people who help me now. And
you're hyping yourself up a lot.
Dude, I am. It's just
I'm dropping Take Care Drake albums every time I upload.
And that's like, and that's just something I'm very confident and proud in. But yeah, so I never learned from someone. I would take information from all my friends that I can, and the internet's very quick to tell you what you did wrong and how you could be better. So like, take information where I can. But even to this day, I screw up all the time, and everyone in the comments is like, "You put that on backward," and I'm like, oh, "Sorry, I'll fix it."
Let me ask you a question before I ask you another question. So something that I do in my videos, and people will never know if I'm serious or not, is a lot of times I say things incorrectly or like I say dumb shit on purpose that is just incorrect and wildly wrong. But I say it as if it's like my natural thought.
Yeah.
And it's like in my mind, it's to be funny, but it's also like it gets engagement.
It makes people comment.
Do you ever like do things kind of like, oh, I think this is what you're supposed to do on this, like, this,
no, I haven't.
You're just actually dumb with how
I'm
you
just actually dumb. And I'm like, oh, oops. Or like I speak really fast and I jumble words all the time. And sometimes I'll like just blatantly say something wrong on accident when in my head it sounded right. And they're all like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that wrong. And they
it's the engagement though.
Yeah, I'm like, thanks for the comment,
dude. Do you have we'll call it a specialty and a what's the best thing you're good at with working on cars and the worst thing?
Okay, I'm like known as the wide body and bag king. My self-proclaimed. The internet kind of proclaimed it.
Is that like installing?
It's just like
wide body kits.
Yeah. Like I've always loved wide body kits and like bagging cars. I don't really do the bags as much. It's just air suspension, but still to this day, I love wide bodies so much. I created a whole business for it. So,
and what are you like the worst at when like something goes wrong on the car or? Like, I'll give you an example. Like I'm not very good at diagnosing like engine problems, but like with a Jeep, when it comes to like the suspension, anything like that, I can like take it apart, weld it together, install, and everything like that. But for me, it's like, I can do everything about like axles and everything. But if you were to like, hey, I need you to like gear this axle, I'd be like, absolutely not. Like,
anything with a wire, electricity, nope.
Yeah.
Not me. I've talked to myself too many fucking times. Don't even look at me to do it. Nope.
Not the guy. Do you have someone in your squad that's like, he's the electric guy?
Yeah, I do. Calvin is like a little genius. He's so good. He rewired a whole entire Ferrari we bought one time that was crashed. He rewired the whole entire car. It took him like 7 days to do it. He just sat there every day and just like got all these wires and started just soldering them. And I'm like, this turns on.
Electrical's the shittiest thing ever because like you do everything you think and then you're like,
I hope it works. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I hate that. That's my absolutely like biggest flop.
Can I dive into? I want to talk about building cars because it seems like so your channel, if I had to sum it up, besides fantastic content, right, would be like, because I'm like, okay, like how much can you do to a car? Like there's a point when you get to at regardless of all the customization. You disagree?
Oh yeah.
You think there's always something to do?
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like I'm like you buy a car, you do everything to it. You sell it, get a new car, repeat the process. Like at a certain.
So that was two separate questions.
Well, like I guess the whole point of the question is like, are you like some people? Like I've learned that I really like building Jeeps, but I don't like take them off road as much as I should. I think I enjoy the process of building the car rather than like using it for its purpose.
Yeah.
But now you've gone into like the racing thing.
Yeah. So now like I race now, so that's a whole different like thing. But yeah, a lot of the cars, they're street cars, they're not race cars. But a lot of people are like, oh, the biggest thing that I see people comment is, oh, you have all these cars, but you never drive them, or I never like. And then the easiest like response to that, or like the thing that people just don't understand, is like when you have 20 plus cars, it's really fucking hard to drive them all. Or like I might drive one
for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I'll drive a different one every day, and that means I'll only drive one car one time each month. So it's like I'll go through waves of what I like to drive and what I don't. But a lot of the builds, like to a certain extent, I'll build them and then they just sit. Like that, the Nissan in the back that you can't see, or this car behind me. Like I built it 3 years ago, and like I might drive this thing like once or twice a month. But like it is like to me, this is like art. You know, people who spend like ridiculous amounts of money on a painting, like that is me with this,
or like a picture of a monkey.
Yeah, that too.
Did you buy any NFTs?
No.
Okay.
Never have.
Okay, good.
Did you?
No.
Are you sure?
No, I did not. I almost did. I almost did because I was like, I see everyone making the money, and I was like, I want to make the money.
Did you get Dogecoin?
I have bought and sold many, many times, but as of now, I have none of that.
Okay.
I was in the AMC world, dude.
I'm still holding, so.
I believe, dude. It's going to go to $1 anytime now. We're a multi-millionaire from
It's going
Dogecoin.
To, it's going to make me.
Is the whole point when you build a car, is it for the...
It's different. I'm going to stop you. Some cars are built with an exact, like, hey, I'm building this and it's going to do this job. There are other cars that are like, oh, I really love to have, okay, I'm going to throw a statement out that no one's going to understand. Some people might. I've always wanted to have a Veil-side RX-7. So
of course, yeah.
I went and I went and I bought an RX-7 just to put a Veil-side kit on it, and like I'll own it for the rest of my life, and I don't care if I don't drive it. I just want that in my garage. I want like the perfect version of that car. So like, and at this like point in my life, I've just become a collector. So like I will literally buy the car just to have it sit. Like there are some cars that I have that I haven't shown to the internet and that I haven't imported from Japan that I don't know if I ever intend to really do anything with them. I'm just like, oh, that's a really cool version. That's a super like low mile, very rare spec. I'm just gonna buy it.
Is the goal with most cars to make it as fast as possible?
No, because every car has a purpose. So like I have multiple versions of a few different cars, and like and sometimes I'll build one to be like, this will handle really well, but won't be as fast in a straight line. One will be like, hey, this is going to be like a really good like 80 to 150 car, which is like going fast, like going on the freeway and trying to go as fast as possible from 80 to 150.
Yeah, I got that, dude. You don't have to talk to me like I'm not that dumb.
And then there are some that are like a mix of both. So each car will have a purpose, or like it's going to be a dedicated competition, like drift car, and I'm going to buy it and I'm only going to race it.
I've always thought with cars, we'll call them, I'll refer to these as sports cars, and I don't know if they're actually considered sports cars.
Yeah, just call it a car.
It's okay. So the sports cars right here. So, because I'm always like, okay, like it's really just whoever has the most amount of money can make it the top of the car, right?
Generally, yes.
And what I've never really understood, and this is how like I'm like in a different world, and I guess the argument can be made of like, well, you can't take your Jeep everywhere off-roading all the time. What is the desire to have like very, very fast cars, even though you can't legally drive the like 130 miles an hour, because not only is it reckless, it's illegal.
Of course, all these things I'm about to say are done in Mexico.
Obviously.
But the fact just to have it, dude, just to like have it and like pull out of your, turn onto the freeway and just for like a second to stand on it and go, what? And fucking shift the gears and super fast for a second, then you calm it down.
It's like for those 10 seconds or less, you're free.
Kind of. Wow, that was cute. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, or, it's just, I guess I'm just so passionate about it. Like just be able to have it. Like this has never been on the track. It will never see the track. Like this is just a street car, but it's just cool to have that on the street. And when I want to open it up, I'll open it up and have fun with it. But it's just a different experience. What
do you think, because you're so ingrained in the car community, but I feel like there's a lot of probably sectors of the car community. What I've seen a lot, I'm friends with Joe, who's, crazy into he's not that this isn't like high end, but he's like I'm to buy the really expensive Porsche.
He's in the RS world and that's a different subsection.
The elitists.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
But
sure.
I guess what I'm getting at is, so he always goes to these like, the coffee and cars, the meats. What's your thoughts on a lot of people, I feel like, tainting the car community by doing dumb shit? You see all these videos of
takeovers.
It's like that, but you see like
leaving cars and coffee and they spin out and like hit someone
and kill people and like do dumb shit and wreck their car. Like
that's where the term Mustangs kill people come from, was Mustangs leaving car meets and climbing into crowds. Yeah, I mean, that's like killing the scene. Takeovers, for those who don't know, is like, if you ever seen those clips of like just a bunch of people will like literally make a circle around an intersection and they'll throw in like, this is what it typically is, like a Charger or a Dodge Challenger or like some super clapped out old American muscle car that just has some dude standing out of the window doing donuts, and some idiot is dumb enough to like get close and film, and he gets pegged by the car. You see them, they just fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the takeover culture is really big in LA. It literally is destroying. I mean, America in general is trying to ban cars and ban gas engines and EPA and smog, and it's already our own problem. And then people doing this takeover shit makes police and makes people, general consumers who don't care about this stuff, hate them even more, or like have a perceived,
So is it more like when you see some of this
it's
shit,
like just the
this shit
worst
happening,
thing.
you're like, even if you don't know the person, you're like, I don't like that you did this because
no, they are literally ruining what we have today. Like the EPA is like literally trying to ban you from even ever being able to buy a modified part, period. That includes your Jeeps. Like websites that even sell a modified part. No, that's what they're going for. And they use these takeovers as examples of people modifying their cars to be able to do all this stuff. And like, it literally is, the honest truth is, in like the next 20, 30 years, I don't think this
cars won't exist.
Not cars, but like modified cars.
Yeah.
Like, I think like we're kind of on the tail end of it, if I'm being honest.
I could
to this degree.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
You mentioned during the takeovers and stuff about Mustangs. Can you please explain why does every Mustang driver want to be the loudest Mustang in the world? Because, hold on, before you answer, I want to give more depth to it. My Jeep is pretty loud.
Yeah.
But it is a 6.4 Hemi engine.
Yeah.
Most of the Mustangs that I see are not decked out fast Mustangs. They're just like the entry level Mustang that someone put the most obnoxious fucking exhaust on.
Yeah. I mean, you just have to think about it from the perspective of like, who's the Mustang made for? Like, who is that general consumer made for? They know that a 20 to 30-year-old male is going to buy that car. Like, that is their demographic. So like, you take that and then you think, who's the second hand demographic to own this car? And it's anyone under 20 that has cash to buy a car is going to buy some old second-hand, third-hand Mustang. I think that's why like that's such a typical like stereotype or meme, is because like when anyone wants a fast car, they'll either get like a fast car, they'll get like a Honda Civic because like there's a lot of aftermarket support for it, or they'll get like a Mustang because like it's the cheapest go-to to get the best bang for your buck.
American muscle, baby.
I guess, yeah. Not a big Mustang guy, but
you hate America?
Love America, baby. No, I own a Mustang currently. I have a 65 Mustang, and I've owned another Mustang before that. But
what is now with your car collection having 29 cars and some of them kind of the exotic cars? Does it have a different special places in your heart of like the Lamborghinis and then whatever this was called again?
Yeah,
what's it called?
RX-7.
RX-7.
Yes,
okay.
The RX-7. Yeah, they're so different. Like it's like, when you exercise.
I do that.
Yeah. When you deadlift.
Uh-huh.
There's a bunch of like movements that are like deadlifting, and that's a really good way of exercise. But then there's people who like CrossFit. It's still exercise, but it's a different way to exercise. Same thing, like driving a Lambo and a Ferrari. That's a really like fun experience, but this is a completely different experience of coming in the same
I
thing.
guess
just more raw, more.
The reason I asked it is because as your success has grown and you have the ability to buy the nicest of the nice cars, these exotic cars that are not only going to be like way more comfortable, better handling,
right.
Faster, whatever.
Right.
Do you think there's ever going to be a point where you're going to like lose touch with like wanting to drive the really rough, shitty drive?
No. I mean, to put this in perspective, like out of all of my cars, still 90% of them are 90s shitboxes.
So it's not like you like make videos about this, but then you just go drive in the Urus all the time.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you. I'll drive I daily the modern stuff because it's comfortable. It's easy.
Pull this up a little bit.
It's
Yeah, there you go.
there we go. Is that better? I'll daily the nice stuff.
Yeah.
The Urus or the BMW M4 or whatever. But when I want to dive into like, if it's a super nice day out and there's not going to be traffic, and then I'll take any of these cars out. Or if I'm like going on a certain trip. But I'll absolutely would love to drive a normal car more often than not.
What do you think about the evolution of cars? Because, we went from you got to drive a manual to now the fancy cars don't even have manuals to now the evolution into the electric vehicle. How do you feel about the EV shift? Because it's almost like this is like the last of a dying breed, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I also think that the EV thing's going to die off soon.
What?
Like the fad of, EV is better. I think that when the general population starts to understand how harmful EV is and how a lot of it, the infrastructure that we have in America can't even support. We've blown the grid in California before with charging, where they don't even let you charge your cars. Like there will be a certain point of where I think production on EV will stop.
Yeah.
It's never going to go away, but I don't think that the gasoline motor is not going to disappear tomorrow.
What is it like? Chrysler and stuff has already gotten rid of like their V8, but now Joe says they're bringing it back.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of back and forth and a lot of like PR claims that are made to get headlines and to like stir the cup. But, the EV market is huge. I definitely think that what we more have to fear is autonomous driving more than EV stuff. Because EV cars are still cool. Like they're still, I don't own any, but like they're fast. They're still.
What do you think about EV cars with the fake exhaust sound?
That's brutal. It's brutal.
But it's an interesting. Joe had an interesting argument about it because he's like the car, like the exhaust that you love so much, is just a result of the engine. He's like, if the engine doesn't make the noise, why would they create a sound that like the engine doesn't make the noise? But I feel like Mustang drivers everywhere are gonna be pissed if they don't have the sound.
I mean, the sound is part of the personality. The sound's part of the experience.
I would want the fake sound.
It's just gross. It's just like it's just like an insult, adding insult to injury. Is that the saying? It's just don't. I don't know. I just don't like that. I think it's whack. I think it's super weird. When do you think you'll
get your first EV?
I don't know. I've really been trying to hold off.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm like,
it's going to have to happen.
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
I went through a whole phase where I sold my lovely SRT, got the RSQ8, didn't enjoy the SRT8, the RSQ8 that much. Ended up now I have the most recent new generation of the Grand Cherokee. I love it. Super slow. It's 6-cylinder. I'm used to the power, baby.
Yeah.
And I think I'm waiting for the new SRT to come out, and I think it actually will. I think it's going to be an electric one, and I'm going to get it. Even I'm not an electric fan because I'm just like the old school. I want a motor. I want a V8.
Yeah, I mean, I think if there was a certain car that I really wanted in the next generation, if it was going to be, I would say this. I would bet you that the next SRT will not be EV, at least not for that platform. Because they even like kind of teased it with the Challenger and with the EV, and like it was a concept. It's not like you can go out and buy it.
I thought it's coming out.
Just like the Cybertruck.
That's coming, dude.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is it still coming?
Where is
it? Where is it?
Why do you hate Elon Musk?
When was it? I love Elon.
On Twitter, I see him all the time of out in production, and he's always like replying back like, oh, we just updated like the taillights. To be honest, I think the Cybertruck is like actually one of the ugliest things I've ever seen.
I think it's really cool.
In what world is the Cybertruck cool looking?
Because it's so different than everything else out there. That's what makes it cool.
But you don't have to be. Sometimes being different is not like sometimes like going against of how the normal cars look. There's a reason why they don't look like that, because that looks like a fucking.
I disagree. I think it looks so rad.
Tank.
I thought about buying it just because of how cool and obnoxious it looked.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. I just the world is so like black and white when it comes to cars. Like, to be able to have something that is unique and stands out and that has personality, like has a huge draw to me. And that's why I thought the Cybertruck was really cool. But to get back to your point about the EV thing, I mean, I doubt the SRT is going to come out in EV that kind of like goes against everything SRT is, but I also could be wrong.
We're going to keep our fingers crossed, but whether it's EV or not, just know
you should buy it. I hope you do.
1000%. I need the power. There's one thing I've learned is once you go to having a car with power, it is like impossible to go back. Like,
yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Now, like when I'm about to pass a car, I'm like, I'm going to floor it.
Dude,
like,
it doesn't go anywhere. You're like, this is,
it's like 8,000 RPM and it's just going nowhere.
Once you taste it, you're like, you're screwed.
Yeah. But you know, we're holding out. We're keeping our fingers crossed. With your like massive success. Oh shit, my mic is just like dropped down.
Was mine dropping?
Hold on. Yeah, dude, we got like some limp dick mics over here. Sorry, guys.
I don't want to break it.
TJ, why do you think you're so popular on the internet? Because you have, you know, when you talked to me like forever ago, right? Your channel was, you know, obviously like significantly smaller, like back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. Why do you think you had such an explosion into popularity? Because I would say you're one of the, if not the largest, you know, car vloggers in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I really just like put it all back to like, I'm just very open and always have been. And like from the very beginning when I like talked about why I started my channel and, you know, the breakup, and I was always very, very, very open with that and very transparent. And I have been with every single area, even to my own demise of where like I'm probably sharing too much personal information.
Yeah.
But I feel like a mixture of that and, my friends group is like, I think a huge part of my success.
It's like everyone's like a little character.
Yeah. And I have like the most amazing group of friends, and it's been the same set of friends since high school. Like it really, like, you know, I've obviously made a lot of friends in the car world, but like the main character set in the vlogs is like the same group from 7 years ago.
How, and I think that's a great reason of like why, because it's like there is so many personalities. It's like, you know, it's like your Uber pitch. It is a show.
Yeah,
it's multiple characters,
very much so.
And people have different personalities and that are so you see different sides of things. And I don't mean this in a very like intrusive way. You don't have to get into crazy detail, but like because your squad is so much in your videos and it's like part of it. Are they like employees of yours at this point, or like because I'm assuming because they assist you with what you do. Mm-hmm. Like how does that work in the business of it?
Yeah. So not a lot. A few of my friends are employees, that are in the vlogs with me, or think of it as like mechanics.
Yeah. Cause it's kind of like, hey guys, like I can't have you at like an office job all day. I need you to be in the vlog. So like
that's where it gets very, very tricky when it comes to like hiring friends and working with friends is, you know, YouTube is very sporadic and I can't like pay someone based off of like, oh, you're in this YouTube video for this many seconds or this or that. And it's about finding a description for said job. And then it's up to me to, you know, include certain people in vlogs and build a show up with the right amount of, you know, this and that to create the product or to create the outcome. But also a lot of friends that I work with, we have a lot of business that isn't even talked about in the vlog. Like we are in business together in other areas that can be trafficked through the vlogs and showcased and promoted and advertised. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. Does it ever get kind of, as someone who's not recently, but over the years, as my businesses have grown, hiring a lot of employees has been one of the best things ever, but it's been the most pivotal like evolution of me as a person, of learning how to like, you know, I guess the stress of like other people rely on me continuing to progress for their livelihood.
It's something that I like still struggle with today, but it's the hardest challenge ever. And I was going to ask you that question, but I'll
this
wait.
Is my fucking podcast.
I know. Well, I have a question for you, but I'll wait for that. When I started hiring employees, and whether them being my friend or employees or not, it becomes very serious when you feel the pressure of everyone else. Like you're like, if I stop, everyone stops. Like if I stop doing this, like every other avenue around me like comes at a halt if I don't keep moving. So like that balance is weird, and having that balance be with friends is also very strange. But with the only way to make it work is like open communication, and I've been doing it for 7 years now, and like communication in year 1 and 2 and 3 wasn't nearly what it is today, but it's finding that balance of communication and like expectation, needs and wants, and like where, scalability wants to go with each person. But it was a very difficult thing to learn, and I struggled today with it a lot. But it's just one of those like growing pains, which was like going to lead into one of my questions. Is I was curious, from a very similar person, but in a different space, what was like your biggest mistake, or what was your biggest obstacle when it came to like scaling and growing and hiring employees and learning how to like, what was your biggest obstacle when learning how to manage other people while being Maxx and doing YouTube videos and then managing Everforward and then managing Sour Strips? Like, because I own a lot of businesses too, and when I stop, everything stops to a certain degree. But I'm curious to know what your biggest battle was when trying to do everything.
I mean, it's still a constant battle, man. And I think it's, especially as someone who's like young like us, and we just kind of fell into entrepreneurship, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't like you worked at a company and you evolved up and then you went into management and you like had like someone that was mentoring you and you kind of like took traits from them. You're just like, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? I think the biggest like struggle that I have, and that I it's gotten better, is trying to figure out how to be like the best leader and boss, because I never planned on that part of my like trajectory of life was to like manage people. And it's like, but you have to, right? And a big struggle that I have is, I guess, always like thinking about what my employees think about like YouTube Maxx versus this, because I'm like, I guess I struggle a lot of like, since there's so much business stuff going on, of like, oh, if I'm out filming a wacky video, whatever, and my employees are like at the office working, it looks like I'm kind of like dilly-dallying, or like they're doing the hard work and I'm out doing this, but it's like, it all has like a full circle. Like I have to be this personality and continue, pushing to like continue to elevate everything. And like, I guess balancing that and dealing with the emotions. And I guess when I started, it was more of like, hey, I need you to help me pack orders. I need you to help me film some videos. I need you to like, I just needed like people to help me. And I never really planned of like, oh, I need to like they need guidance. They need to know what to do. They need like direction. We need to have like, I need to like communicate on a weekly, daily basis of like, hey, how are you? Because I'm the type of person where I'm like, you told me what to do. Okay, I'm just going to go do my thing. With like, people on the team, like I forget that I can't just be like, hey, I need you to do this. Okay, like I'll talk to you in a month. You know everything you need to be doing. But it's like, oh, I need to like check in. Like I need to like, not like micromanage, but just, I need to like continue to have that relationship with them.
Communicate.
Yeah. And I think it's something that like you'll continue to like learn.
Yeah, that's been my biggest struggle. Is exactly what you just said. Like I tell them like, here's your roles and expectations, and I just expect them to like autopilot. And they're like, no, like I need more direction and this and that. And like I found that I can be really indecisive because there's so many choices for so many different things. Whether it's like, oh, for product drops, or like the direction of like what we want this collection to look like, or what quantity should we do? Like, do you like this color? And I'm just like, I don't know. Like I found myself like subconsciously becoming very indecisive, and not being able to make a decision because there were so many decisions to make. It became like a crippling effect.
Well, it's also hard because you like hire people to do specific things, and since you're a creative person and like you have this like vision of how you are kind of like expecting what someone's work's going to be, and if it's not the exact way, you're like, you almost try to be like, no, and you need to like change all these things because of what I have in my head, and you need to like realize that like it's okay that people's output is not going to be like, it's not, you didn't create it, so it's not going to be exactly what you think not like it should be, but like
what you have to be able to accept what it's not exactly what it was in your head. Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yeah. It's kind of like a lot of times, like I'll end up like, even with Oz, I'll be like, hey, I need you to help me like shoot this like video. And then I end up like micro directing the entire time because I'm a creative person, but I needed to be like, dude, like I trust you. I trust you to like do it. I don't need to, just have another Maxx. I need to have an Oz with a different perspective. So it's tricky, man. And as you've evolved and grown these businesses, you have why don't you just explain, like, how do you make your money, dude?
So many different avenues at this point, which is like super weird. There's YouTube videos. There's like YouTube AdSense, which is just how many views you're getting on a video. There's third party ads, which is like keeps.com, Helix, Sleep, the basics.
Which is super simple, comes shipped right to your door, rolled up in a box, free delivery in the United States.
2 free pillows.
2 free pillows. That's right, man.
Yep. I was gonna stop.
Do you guys want to have a sleep quiz?
Yeah. Do you want to do that right now? There's that, and then there's like what's been very, which is now like a much bigger part of my dynamic is corporate sponsorships. So like contracts with Monster Energy, Valvoline, Meguiar's, 3M, Magnaflow. There's like those. There's like those partnerships, and then there's.
How does like those partnerships work? If it's not like, hey, shout out the exhaust in this one video, it's more of just like, I want you to incorporate our products throughout your entire like entity.
Yes and no. So like when it first started, it was like, hey, we're going to buy this much ad space type of thing. We're going to give you this lump amount of money and we'll start there. But I was like the first in the automotive like space to partner with like a large corporate and have like a corporate based contract. Like think of it like a athlete, like an NFL signs with Under Armour.
Yeah.
That was like the best way that I like started these pitches. Like my first was with Meguiar's. That was my first, which they're owned by 3M. So that was my first like corporate, like huge, thick contract, like bigger, like big money.
Big dick stuff.
Yeah. Big dick swinging with all my other friends. Like, what the fuck? How did you sign that? Like that's 3M's over 100 years old. They're like, well, 3M is, but also Meguiar's is over 100 years old. Like they are the largest automotive car carrier in the world. So that starting that avenue and kind of paving that way of like, hey, this is how this can work. Let me show you. Let's create this partnership. Once that became successful year after year, it opened the doors for other automotive brands to like finally stop being like, the best form of advertisement isn't like newspapers and magazines. It could be like,
it's TJ Hunt.
It's me, baby. Which led into, bigger things. But essentially it scales. Meguiar's, Magnaflow, Valvoline. There's some of my super like very, very tight.
You can just go through like every part on a car. Like, okay, I can have a tire sponsor. I can have a car cleaning sponsor.
So that's, for me, that's what it's gotten to. And I'm of like the very few that have gotten that far yet, but we are very much like paving the way of like, hey, there's like the, race car driver, NASCAR drivers. There's like the Travis Pastranas. There's like the Ken Blocks, like rest in peace.
Yeah.
There's those guys who are like, these are like the crazy drivers and they get all these corporates, but now it's like trickling into like more of like this internet side.
A normie.
Yeah. Where like we can appeal to that. So I think your original question was like, how do you get paid? Are they buying space? So like, yes, but it also has like bled in the recent years, like licensing rights. And now I'm doing national shoots and commercials. So there's like SAG that gets involved with that. And which is like the agency for actors, and the royalty rights on TV, which is like separate of main contracts. Yeah. That was like a weird one for me. I learned about all that. And they'll be like, hey, I'll literally like I have a build this year that I pitched with someone that I can't say, but I was like, hey, I have this idea for a build. I'm going to need X amount of money. But if you give me this amount of money, I can advertise it and really incorporate you into this.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, it's going to cost so much to build it. This is how much it's going to cost for me to do it.
Dude, it seems like such a full circle win-win, because it's like, they're going to pay for the build. You're going to get paid to do the build, and then you can build it and make all the content around it.
Very much so how we talked about in the beginning. Like I wasn't always the best with like building, but I was always super interested with like business.
Yeah.
And like, how to maximize and really become efficient. So like to where it is now, it's like, not only is like a lot of the stuff come for free, you get paid to use it. Cars sometimes come for free. You get paid to air it. And then when you don't want it, you get paid to sell it. So it's like
crazy.
I've had a couple like big cars that I have built that have been like crazy.
And then you obviously have
so then there's
Street Hunter Designs.
Yeah, so then there's Hunting Company, which is like my apparel brand and automotive fashion brand. And then there's Street Hunter. So I was always super into like wide bodies. And I to the point where I got teased for it, everything I always did. And I was like, you know what? I always get teased for it. I should embrace this. I should embody it. I'm going to change what I don't like of all the different Japanese wide bodies, like companies. I'm just going to do it better.
Why do people want to make their, like,
it just looks cool. It just looks cool. It looks different. Making a car look different than what it
like a
is cool. It's cool. It's like to re-embody the car is cool. So yeah, 3 years ago we launched Street Hunter, and that was like my wide body and aero parts business. So we started that with the Mark V Supra, which is a Toyota car, and 3 years ago launched it, and it was a huge initial hit on one product, wildly successful. And then that became its own entity. Now we have a SKU over like 100 parts in 3 years. That's its own monster, which is a really large avenue. And then like there's a bunch of T's, right? So then there's like video games that would be like, hey, TJ, we want to put you in our video game for this character. Or hey, TJ, we want to license
what video
out
games are you
Street
going
Hunter. I can't say that, but
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 13.
But we have like Street Hunter has a big involvement in Forza. Do you know what Forza is?
Yeah, that's a game.
Yeah, it's a race car game. So the opening scene of Forza 5 is a Street Hunter C8 dropping out of a plane. So like licensing rights in Microsoft and that whole avenue gets super deep. And think about it. Think of how many video games online for cars have body kits. That's what makes it cool, is be able to modify a car.
Yeah.
So all these games now reach out to Street Hunter and are like, hey, we want to put your car in the game. I'm like, cool, here's how much it costs to market Street Hunter to get people to download your game.
How does it feel to be a billionaire?
Not a billionaire yet, but it's so fucking cool because as much as I love, like, I think very surface, everyone's like, oh, he makes YouTube videos. But it's like, yeah, but like I make YouTube videos and I'm able to market certain things to, you know, my own creative outlets. And when you own those things that you're marketing, you're like paying yourself to pay yourself to pay yourself, to scale to grow. So like it can get very complicated and there's a lot of avenues. There's a lot of like streamlines, and then every line has multiple different tapers of like, you know, all that type of stuff.
And it all comes back to like, I got to keep making YouTube videos.
To a certain extent. Yeah. But it doesn't have to. So like one of my biggest goals was like, when I first kind of started YouTube and I became a full-on entrepreneur, I was like, one of my goals was like, I want to sell a company for at least $20 million. One like solely owned company. So it only took, I think like 2 years in where I got approached with Street Hunter, where a company wanted to inquire to purchase the company, which I was like, hey, I'm not even close to being ready yet. Like, no, but like that was like a huge fire in my ass to like realize how much I loved the business side of things and just growing a business and learning how to do that. But you know, YouTube videos don't have to happen forever. And it's about kind of like what you did with Sour Strips. Like the initial marketing and branding for Sour Strips was Maxx until it wasn't. So, you know, taking the same philosophy and doing that with Street Hunter or other projects that I'm working on, it only needs to be marketed by TJ until it doesn't.
Would you sell Street Hunter for $20 million?
Not anymore.
Sheesh.
Yeah, not anymore. I don't know. The answer is, the answer when it comes to that question is like, I'll sell it when I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm just
when it doesn't bring you the enjoyment. It's kind of like I'm ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Like I'm just having so much fun with it right now. And I feel like we are changing and making the other companies who are like our biggest competitors, we're forcing them to change, which is like, oh shit. That's like that oh shit moment. Like kind of when like you fucking started kicking out like other sour candies, you're like, oh shit. Like now we're on the block. And that's when it gets fun. When it gets to that level. So
it's kind of like for me, I get reports every week from, I get them from a lot of different areas, but like Target, for example, is one of the ones I get like every Monday. I get this report of like the sales from the previous week. And then they can pull the 4-week data for that month of our category of like, it'll show you every other brand and like what are selling. And like week over week, we're number one of like, and it's not like I'm like, it's like a cocky, like, yes. Okay.
No,
it's more of just like, it's like I did this.
Yeah, it's more of like this was a thought in my brain, and like you risk so much to start it and waste so much time to get it going, and then once it's like its own fucking animal and it's on its own two legs, you're like, holy shit, and it becomes a team of a lot of people who make it happen. So, there's a lot of different avenues, and then I also started one of the biggest partnerships I did was I invested in a company called Throttle that I worked with. Like they came to me like 6 years ago with a completely different idea of what that company was. And they're like, do you want in? And I'm like, nah, you don't have it. And they came back like 3 months later with like a new deck. And I was like, this is different. You fixed everything I said. And then, so like that, I invested into that company and that company got acquired. So like, there's a bunch of, when I see investment opportunities, I take it where I can, especially when it comes to like technology and the internet space. So there's a lot of different avenues when it comes to like this realm.
You're a businessman, dude.
Barely, very self-taught. A lot I don't know.
Do you
Sabrina
ever
knows a lot more than me, but
do you ever just kind of like look at like all the like I say like material items in a way of like representing kind of like from where you started to now. Do you ever just like kind of like maybe no one's around, you look at your cars or like your house or like this garage and you're like, what the fuck? Like
sometimes, but I always try to like tap into this. I've been like working so hard for so long and have like sacrificed so much to get here that it kind of like blurs together. And it doesn't feel like it was overnight. Like,
no, for sure. It's been a decade.
Yeah.
And more.
I look at it and I'm like, fuck, like this house is like what I put in my vision board, like 8 years of YouTube video where I put a picture on a house on a cork board and it fucking looks like this house. Like it's freaky. And there's moments like that where, it's very surreal of how far it's gotten. But now that I've gotten this far and I kind of realized the real potential of the opportunity that I have, that I'm like, oh, like now my eyes are really open. Like each year I'm like, oh
yeah,
it just gets larger and larger. And especially in the automotive world, I was going to talk about this earlier. I feel like the fitness world in the internet space was like 5 years ahead of the auto world as far as like investing into creators, investing into individuals to scale brands, and bigger corporate sponsors. Like I remember when I was not friends, like I'm not anymore, but when I was like hanging out with like you and Christian, and we were like on the Alpha Elite tour, and I don't want to like name drop any brands or anything like that to make it weird, but like there was a certain supplement brand and Christian was like, I don't want to say that either. I'll say you. I'll say you. Max was like, this is how much they're like, this is how much my contract is a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
Like I'm in my auto world, like I'm doing double or triple the amount of views and I'm getting paid this much by this company. That's like where that's where our industry is. And like your industry is so farther advanced. Like you're doing less the amount of reach and interactions and getting like triple the amount of money. And that blew my fucking mind when I like started to like cross-reference other creators where different creators were, especially on different sides of like just the internet. Like that was crazy to me. So like, it's now really gotten crazy to the point of where the auto world is like, I'm gonna fuck this up.
You're fine. I think that's
like
good.
the auto world's like really just getting started now. Especially on like the OE platform side, like big.
Well, I think that I mean it's clear when anyone looks at like what you've built and what you've accomplished that you're very much succeeding. Do you think that like I feel like no matter from when you started your YouTube channel to now, I feel like you've maintained this authenticity in this community of being like that real relatable guy of like building these cars. And I don't know the car world, but like if I was to compare you to like another, like almost like the polar opposite of in the car world, I think I would use that Stradman guy, right? James, and it's like, you know him?
We're all very, just like the fitness world, everyone's
I know of him and I know his kind of content, but it's like, seems like that kind of world in the car world is like, I bought another like very expensive car, very expensive car, very expensive car. Whereas like through and through, like you have your very nice cars. I'm not saying these, and these are
no, but
worth just as much.
They're not exotics.
But it's like I started with like building these,
yes,
street cars, and I'm still building these street cars, even though like.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. I've very much, I don't want to say, which is what I'm interested in is like things that's obtainable to everyone. And I think that a lot of the success has just been like of my genuine passion to like tell people like, I don't want to say it's fucking easy, but like if you love what you do and you're truly passionate about it, like there's no option but to succeed. Like failure literally isn't an option. Like if you really love it, like you will be great at it and you will succeed at it and you'll make the money you want to make. And I feel like a lot of like the success that I've had from like the start to now is like my overall message of like, you can really fucking do it. It's just, you just have to like find what it is that you love. So I feel like a lot of that like authenticity and a lot of that type of like this transparency is what kept me going this far and has at least kept people watching. And also they've seen it. They've literally seen me in my parents' bed. Like my first vlogs are me in my like high school era in my parents' bedroom.
Well, no, I agree. It's like every now and then I'm sure you still get like the random, like someone, you can tell when someone like has just stumbled across your video and the comments they give and like they did not see of like where I started and like how much I've accomplished and like how it's like I didn't just walk into this one day.
Yeah. I've been working really fucking hard for a very long time with a very direct direction and like overall, like this is what it's going to be and what it's going to look like. It's obviously gotten way larger than that, but like, yeah, it's always been very, very clear. And each year brings new opportunities that just get like fucking crazier and crazier.
Yeah. I'm sure it's super surreal. And I thought?
Yeah. It's just, I always like think it's, and I'm curious to know your thoughts too on like, do you think the fitness world was ahead of its time then, or is it still like, cause the auto world, like, and I don't know, it's hard to compare, right? Because in the auto world, like you have like multi-billion-dollar companies that own the auto space. 3M, there's oil money, there's gas. I mean, every part supply, like fuel, tires, wheels, part manufacturers, motors, like OEs. There's like a overall company who owns it, who is like, hey, let's work together. Let's find a partnership. And then, there's even the scale of like Ford, Mazda, that can like, so like in the fitness world,
I think it's just like every single industry was run by these giants. He's going to adjust your mic here. Mm-hmm. Every industry was run by these giants, and it was, and you look at like the supplement world, it was like these old school things that were just very like, the traditional type of like way. And then it's just like every industry has started to evolve and adapt and realize that relatability and the like community that these creators are building are so much more powerful than anything of a like really expensive commercial that like, they could spend their money on. They could put it into people that like
put it into a creator and it would cost them a fraction of the price than to pay.
And it's real. It's like, you're like, hey, here's an authentic use of what I'm doing.
No, 100%. Yeah, that's just the craziest thing is that whole, I still can't wrap my mind around that. But.
And dude, every day when like there's new opportunities, you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, cause I feel like as someone's, you're always in the back of your mind, you're always like, when is this going to end? When is it, this has gotta, like, this can't keep happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I think to a certain extent, I feel like that. And then I like find different avenues, or like I've recently really gotten into racing.
Yeah.
So like a lot of my this year's budgets, especially for our race program, like, is super crazy. And when I find, work with my family of partners and finding, hey, we're going to do this, and that, it just gets deeper and deeper.
Well, I feel crazy. Like, with that thought of like, oh, this can't go on forever, but I feel like the drivenness inside of certain individuals is like, no, it can, because like, I'm going to keep pushing the envelope each time. And like, I'm not like someone's like, I deserve all the success I've done, but it's like, I'm going to keep putting in the work to keep leveling up. I'm not going to continue to stay stagnant and think that what's working right now is going to work in the future, and I'm going to keep evolving.
Right. No, well, so that's the biggest thing is there's creators who have like, were there and then they fell off, or they're not even there anymore. Like they can't really like stay current. And learning how to adapt with the time is so monumentally important. And that kind of tailors what you were saying. Cause you know, if I continue doing the same recipe right now, it won't work in 2 years. The recipe that I was using 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it's all different. And you know, that like TikTok is a great example. Like, I don't know what the future of that's going to be, but if you didn't put in the time to like grow that avenue and like grab that set of audience to learn how to like use that audience to scale certain things and grow, like that's just a prime example of, you know, you have to be able to learn how to use what's in front of you. And even if one avenue ends or closes, you have to find, and you will find the next door. And those who like don't have that mentality oftentimes don't stay around for very long. And I think you can see that with creators who have been here for like in the auto world, like, you know, there's a handful that have been here from the dawn of time that are still here.
Because they keep evolving. Well, dude, as to kind of like, you know, going to the end here, what is your, how is your mindset right now with, you know, now that you've, you know, starting a family, getting a house, like I feel like, do you feel like you're going to be ready soon to kind of calm down? Or
that's a really good question. That's like an everlasting question me and Sabrina have, because
it's almost like, when is enough? When is, you know?
Yeah, that's a tough question because all I can say this is once a family starts, I know I do not want to be putting in the time I'm putting in now, the amount of hours, but I also feel like I haven't even gotten started yet.
Yeah.
Like for now, what's on the target board of like within reach, I'm like, fuck, I gotta hurry up.
You're like, maybe like, let's push a baby off a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, I know that, this year's a very interesting year. This year's very interesting alone, just because of how involved I'm getting into racing.
Yeah.
And our performance of last year to prove, you know, for our sponsors this year, it's kind of like really showing people or showing, you know, it's showing people and it's getting new believers in the door.
You're essentially the drift king, dude. You're the DK.
Definitely not. There are so many better drivers out there than me. And
can you drift up the spiral parking garage thing yet?
I'm sure I could do that. We almost rented out a garage. That same garage they used in Tokyo Drift is actually in LA, and it's an abandoned parking structure.
And there's just so many dings on it from people attempting the same shit.
You can rent it. I really wanted to. That's a whole nother story. But I don't know when I don't know when I'm going to slow down. But I know that I feel like I'm just about to really get started for what I want to do.
You want to know what the biggest reason why I think you're just getting started? Am I mistaken? But did you just recently get verified on Instagram?
Fucking did.
I noticed it. Even with an underscore in your @
How fucking lame is that, dude?
It took you to hit 1 million on Instagram to finally get the blue check.
So do you want to know what it fucking was?
I just applied for mine. I applied.
Okay, when?
2 years ago, a year and a half ago. I was about to go into a haircut, and I just go on and I was like, submit application. Went into my haircut, walked out. I had a verification check.
So mine was broken for the longest time. Like I would fill out all the bullshit and do all the references and shit, and I would hit submit, and it like wouldn't like do it. It was like a ghost button, and I was like, oh fuck this, Instagram sucks. And then they kind of just like redid everything in the last couple of months, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try again. And I reached out to all my agents, and I reached out to like every like my Facebook rep, because you know Facebook owns everything. So I was like, oh, surely if I can get my Facebook approved,
it's one of those things. You're like, it doesn't make sense why I'm not. And
I'm like, there's so many fake fucking accounts. It takes one person with one brain cell to see that this is the real me, and that just give me the fucking check mark.
How does the blue check change your life?
Dude,
as dumb as it is,
as superficial and stupid as it is, I look back at my high school friends and I'm like, you boys see this shit? I'm like, you fucking look.
Sometimes I'll send the screenshot of my blue check to the girl that broke my heart, and I'm like, oh shit, wrong. Oh, I didn't mean to. Sorry, wrong. Well, dude, I want to thank you so much for coming on the pod. Do you want to leave with the people? This doesn't come out for when y'all are seeing this, we're filming this like 5 weeks prior, 5 or 6 weeks. Is there anything kind of coming up in the near future you want to leave the people with, of like what's next for you?
I don't know if what I want to talk about will be ready yet. So no, I want to leave the people hanging. And I just want to say, Max, thanks for rejogging my memory and making me feel like a little weenie for calling you 7 years ago.
No, it was embarrassing. You should feel like a little bitch.
I feel like a little bitch, and I'm going to go inside and cry myself to sleep. Thank you for having me. Hopefully you'll have me back soon sometime.
Absolutely, man. Well, if you guys want to check out I'm going to put all of your businesses down in the description. If you want to check his YouTube channel out and watch him just like take lug nuts off and, and
put him back on. Yeah.
It's wild. Dude, sometimes and it's one of those things like a lot of people probably could watch my content and, I don't get the same engagement as you do on YouTube, but like for whatever it's worth, it's like people are like, what? This is what people want to fucking watch. He's just like going to fucking Home Goods and then eating Chipotle.
Okay, but hold on. I want to say this. I'm going to look you dead in the camera. There is no other YouTuber on the planet who works harder than Max does at making vlogs. Period.
Yeah,
the
suck
effort,
it, everyone.
No, but the effort that you go into for your stupid jokes or like spilling chili sauce in your bed, and
he watches the vlog. If people know the chili reference, bro, that was
dude. Danny inside, he showed me you 7 years ago, 8 years ago. He's your OG biggest fan. He played it so cool. I was so proud of him when he met you. But yeah, shout out to Max. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks, man.
I can't wait for Max to sell sour chips for $1 billion.
Not a penny less.
Yes, it's gonna be like, I know that guy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that will conclude this episode with Mr. TJ Hunt. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube to give us a comment, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're on any sort of podcast streaming service, please give us a 5-star review. It helps the channel, I think.
5-star that up.
I know. Do we have over 2,500 5-star reviews on Spotify?
Damn.
I know. And if you're listening on Spotify, come watch the YouTube video. Look at this background, dude.
They don't get to see this.
They do not get. They don't even. They're listening to. They don't even know what the
this
$1
Ferrari
billion car.
This Ferrari behind me. This bright red Ferrari. Yeah, come see it.
New episodes every Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Eat more sour strips and ever forward. You like that? It's because my last name is Tuning and it sounds like tuning.
I get it. Tuning, chewing.
Let's go.
Thank you for tuning in.
Whenever like someone hasn't heard that, they're like, "That's fucking clever."
That's really good.
Yeah, I've had some people. They're like, "Dude, when you say thanks for tuning at the end, you should say tuning," and I'm like, "I am."
You're like, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Listen more.
How long?